Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Katherine Ryan. In the news this week, evidence emerges to show why agreeing even the most basic of trade deals has taken Liam Fox such a long time. There's more trouble for Sir Philip Green as police in Monaco spot him riding without a helmet. And as he insists he's telling the truth over the Huawei scandal, Gavin Williamson goes on to deny he knows anything about the RAF's missing jet. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who won 3 prizes at last year's British Podcast Awards for her podcast all about grief and loss. Although if she hadn't won, I'm sure she'd been able to deal with it. Please welcome Cariad Lloyd. And with Paul tonight is a writer and comedian who stars in a radio sitcom where he plays Satan. Going by his usual style, I think it's safe to say this devil doesn't wear Prada. Please welcome Andy Hamilton. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Ian and Cariad, take a look at this.
There's Gavin Williamson walking, which is something he's not denying.
And that's a brilliant bit of dramatised leaking.
Yeah. Oh, Helen Mirren's stuck for work. She's... Gavin Williamson has been fired for allegedly leaking secrets, but he swears on his children's life that it wasn't him. And he has been fired by Theresa May, which is unusual because she loves not firing people. She's a big fan of just letting people stay, Chris Grayling.
Normally, you know, if you sacked your defence secretary, it would be 3 volumes of a history book. But with this government, yeah, all right, he's gone.
Theresa May seems so definite that he did it that I'm assuming he didn't.
This is the news that Gavin Williamson has been sacked as Secretary of State for Defense over the Huawei leak. As The Guardian put it, Williamson is the first cabinet minister to go for a leak since 1986. How has Williamson responded?
He accused her of ingratitude. He said, I've saved your career twice, as though anyone's going to be grateful for that.
Yeah, that does mean prison, I think, if he admits to that.
I think maybe he did it, he just didn't realise, because he seems very adamant that he did not do it. If you're going to swear on your children's life, that's...
Yeah, I don't think we should hold him to that.
But he said it, Andy. Oh. He said it.
Well, it's fine, though. He doesn't have any kids.
There you go.
Not anymore.
Or he won't. You can see why she might assume it was him. He's quite a difficult man to take seriously.
Yes.
Isn't he? Because he's a bit like sort of Alan Partridge's less charismatic younger brother.
He's such a laughingstock. I mean, I kept reading the papers that, you know, he's hotly tipped for as a future Prime Minister, but only by Gavin Williamson.
Well, Williamson has gone on the offensive and is claiming his total innocence. Are his cabinet colleagues being supportive?
No.
One insider told The Times, who would have thought it was him, apart from everyone who knows him?
There've been some very rude quotes about him, which I can't repeat.
Did you do it as a form of a charade?
The noun will be difficult to do as it's because it's anatomical.
Oh, really?
But there was a quote that he was a self-serving...
What is that, Andy? I wasn't sure on that
That
straight.
was me chickening out of the mime that Paul wants me to do.
Usually starts off with a book or a film.
Right, what's the mime for organ?
What undermines Williamson's protestations of innocence?
The fact he did it.
Yep, evidence.
One thing is to be said for him is that this is important information to be found out.
Yeah.
Irrespective of who leaked it. So
Yeah,
it might be a very good thing that we know this.
And the story was she was about to give in. Again. To Chinese influence over British business, technology and security. So, you know, I'm all for people leaking stuff, obviously, otherwise they have very little to do.
Who's jumped into Williamson's still warm cabinet seat?
Penny Mordaunt.
Yes, Penny Mordaunt.
Penny Mordaunt. I wanted Chris Grayling to get it. Because I thought he would expand the Navy with lots of imaginary ships.
She was in the Navy, though, or in the Naval Reserve.
Naval Reserve,
She
yeah.
was. She's the Tory leadership hopeful, Navy reservist and Splash contestant, Penny Mordaunt.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
What was Splash?
Splash was a celebrity show where they just had to dive into
Oh, right.
a pool.
I was offered The Island. Is that Channel 4?
I think so.
Well, Love Island.
No. I would have taken.
Theresa May is concerned about whether or not there will be a Queen's speech. Now, this is a very complicated political issue,
Yes.
which Ian will now explain.
Yes.
But like most of these things, they're just essentially convention. The Queen's speech, you're meant to lay out what your government's going to do, and you can't really just turn up and say, I've no idea. Thank you very much indeed, and then go.
She always has to say, my government is committed to governing for all people. And you can see it in her eyes. She's thinking, if I have to read out this bullshit one more...
There's not a lot of enthusiasm for politicians of any kind who are trying to persuade people to vote. Would you like to see how voters are responding in Yorkshire?
Yes, please.
Hello, sorry to disturb you.
I'm in a massive hurry.
OK,
I
can I
won't
leave
be
him...
voting for nobody ever again, so don't bother me.
That's why I want to get elected, to change it. I really do.
Yeah, not be voting again for nobody.
Can I leave you my details anyway, in
Never.
case of being of
Yeah,
help?
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But he took the leaflet.
Yeah, so there's hope.
Yeah, we don't know what he's using it for.
Who did the Conservatives have working for them in the local elections?
Oh, the Scouts.
Yeah.
Now, this is a scandal. They exploited Bob a Job Week.
No.
Yes. To get the Scouts to deliver leaflets.
Oh.
Which is not Bob a Job Week. You know, I used to do Bob a Job Week.
Yes, right.
You used to clean people's cars,
That's it.
didn't you? And they give you a lot of money because they'd worry you'd scratch it,
Yeah.
you'd go away. But it's a big scandal, and the Scouts, you know, who are non-political.
Yep.
Were you in the Scouts?
No, no, no.
I can remember a couple of my Scout laws.
Yeah, go on then.
A Scout whistles and is cheerful at all times.
Wow.
Yeah, I ruined a lot of funerals.
This is the news that Gavin Williamson has been sacked as Secretary of State for Defense over the Huawei leak. According to The Sun, Gavin Williamson keeps a tarantula spider in his office like a James Bond baddie. Ah, yes, no job. In Lincolnshire, a Scout group leader has resigned after it emerged that two Conservative candidates persuaded Boy Scouts to deliver local election leaflets. The Scouts leader's resignation has sent shockwaves through the Scouting community, and it wasn't for the usual reason. Also this week, divisions at the top of the Labour Party between Jeremy Corbyn and Tom Watson led The Sun to show the two men as boxers. That fight could go on a while, especially if they're relying on Diane Abbott to count to 10. Paul and Andy, take a look at this.
Oh, OK, so that's Marks and Spencer's.
They look like ears.
Yes.
Oh, no, right.
He doesn't like them, he's thumbs down, and, that's her third husband. There's a second husband. Percy pigs are in the news because people don't like them anymore. They've changed their colour, taste, flavour, shape, size.
Apparently, they've taken out the gelatin,
Oh.
and that's changed the taste.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it's to sort of encourage vegetarians, perhaps? 'Cause
It was to be ethically responsible and save the planet, but people they say they've ruined them.
Ruined them
And they're
completely.
getting very angry.
Have they gone online?
They're really
gone
angry.
online, yeah.
Percy
They've gone
Pigs has managed to suppress their anger because there's anti-anger agent within them, but now they've stopped
Yeah.
they're furious.
And it's going to be, you know, like the Gilets Jaunes movement in
Yeah,
Paris.
that's the same.
This is going to be worse than that. They're going to be out there.
Yeah. That's what gelatin is, the boiled up bones, skin and tendons.
It's in jelly, isn't it?
It is, it's how you get things to, like, be wobbly, basically, set, yeah.
Well, you're right. This is the news that the Percy pig has gone vegetarian to a rash of complaints. M&S have tinkered with their
A
Percy
rasher of
pig.
complaints. Don't groan. Is there really anyone caring about this?
Piers Morgan was really angry about it.
Right, I'm done.
With a
Case closed. We
Case
don't
closed.
even need to look at the evidence.
Conservative Considering
Absolutely clear.
Yeah. Considering he looks like his face is made of ham, you think he'd be relieved. Oh, it does. It's sweaty like a pack of ham.
What can Percy the pig boast about his success as a brand?
Oh, he's one of the more popular pig-based confectionaries that there are.
Probably the most.
Yeah.
What are your other favourite pig-based confectionaries?
Those candy trotter bars that we used to have as
yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a pig's trotter covered in candy.
Wow. It's one of M&S's most popular products and has a Facebook Appreciation Society boasting 250,000 members. But he can't claim the highest accolade for best-selling M&S product ever. That is the M&S Best Ever Steak Pie, which sells 42,000 a day, which is a lot, considering they're handcrafted by artisans in Yorkshire. They're busy in Yorkshire, no wonder they won't vote. Despite the new recipe, Percy the pig is still unsuitable for vegans.
Oh.
Why is that?
Because they feel sad when they eat the face of things they can't eat.
Do you know any vegans like that?
No, I don't know.
Level 5 vegans.
Level 5 vegan.
They won't eat anything that casts a shadow. Beeswax.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Beeswax.
Beeswax is...
And some people feel bee products are exploitation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
bees who don't choose to have their work used that way.
They don't get consulted.
It's
That
a
is a
consent issue.
fair...
Do dogs choose to be guide dogs for the blind?
Yeah, they have to take a test and say, do you want to do it? A lot of them say, no, I'm all right.
You find out quickly about the ones who didn't want the job because they don't keep their owner long.
They lose it, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure, it's the green man right now.
Meanwhile, why is Chris Packham doing this?
Somebody has been hanging dead crows outside his house. Is it connected with that?
Yes, Chris Packham was sent crows on his fence, as you say, and a block of wood inscribed with a penis, thought to be a reference to a woodcock. After he successfully changed the law that allows the shooting of birds, such as crows and pigeons. So people are upset. Well, the good news is that there are other animal stories in the news this week. So let's have a quick game of whale, hedgehog, parrot, or prawn.
Whale.
How did a beluga whale attract the attention of some Norwegian fishermen this week?
He kept coming up to the boats and talking to them, and he's got a harness on. And they think that he was a beluga whale from a facility where they were training beluga whales.
In St. Petersburg. He did
Presumably.
a hell of a job getting there.
Yes.
He's a whale. I mean, they can go a long way.
But over dry land?
Scientists were led to believe that the whale may have been used by the Russians as a spy because the harness had a fitting for a camera, and written on the buckle of the harness were the words, "Equipment St. Petersburg." Here it is.
They're everywhere. There are a couple of them in Salisbury. Just having a look round, checking out the river.
Yeah.
It did have a camera. Oh, it was sending back Moby Dick pics.
In the early days, I used to strap a photo me booth kiosk through them. And you were encouraged to stick your head through the curtains and pick their own backgrounds.
Here's another question.
That's a parrot.
Yes, it's a parrot. Why were zookeepers in Brazil taken aback when they saw their Amazonian parrot, Freddy Krueger?
He's radioactive, he shines in the dark, look.
This parrot had been stolen, but managed to make his way back to the zoo this week. The parrot had quite an adventurous life even before he was stolen from the zoo. What's happened to him over the past 4 years?
He was Defence Secretary.
According to The Guardian, he's been shot in a gun battle between police and gangsters during a raid on a drug den.
Yeah.
He was then bitten on the leg by a snake and just days later abducted by armed thieves. Who's a lucky boy then? Finally, who would like to see a seagull?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Wow! That's so good! Oh, my God! That's brilliant.
Are we sure that's a seagull? It could be a very tall albatross.
Meanwhile, traces of cocaine have been found in shrimps off the coast of Suffolk, and a heavy intake of steroids is being blamed for all the big muscles and tiny cockles. Time now for the odd one out round. Paul and Andy, your four are Carlsberg, Casanova, Sajid Javid, and fitness bands.
Was there a thing this week about Carlsberg deciding to drop the probably from their famous strapline, probably the best lager in the world?
Is it about boasting? Casanova was a big boaster, wasn't he? He claimed to have slept with many thousands of women. Fitness accoutrements.
Yeah. Otherwise known as Fitbits.
Yeah, that's one. Although other fitness accoutrements are available.
Yeah. The most popular one, though, is Fitbits.
Yeah. They, I think, sometimes exaggerate how many steps you think you've run.
Yeah.
Sajid Javid has got nothing to boast about.
Yeah. So he's the odd one out.
Yeah.
That's the odd one out. Well done.
Yeah.
You're very close. They're all prone to exaggeration, apart from Carlsberg.
It hasn't dropped it, it's added the word not. Probably not the best lager in the world. It's trying to attract people by being modest. This lager it's not that great. Why don't you have it? I'm not sure it's going to work myself. Casanova, I'm rubbish in bed, sleep with me. Sajid, as you correctly pointed out, I'm homosexual. You're kidding. And a Fitbit, what does that do?
It's a fitness band?
Meant to measure your activity, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
How
says
many miles you might walk, or how many miles you might swim or
Your
fly.
heartbeat
Or...
Was it a surprise to you? Good grief, I've been on a run.
I think it might tell you how many steps you've taken.
So it tells you you've walked up some steps.
Yeah.
No, people do need a lot of help now, don't they?
If you're too tired to run but you want to feel like you're doing exercise, it makes you feel like you did steps. Well done, you.
What, just steps? You walked along?
Yes.
You need a device for that, do you?
I don't think we should have got Ian that one for Christmas. No. Take it back.
They're upset, Ian.
We would have been better off getting him a Casanova. Strap that to your ankle and tell me all about it.
What definitely affected one runner's finish time at the London Marathon this week?
Oh, this is the guy who was dressed as Big Ben. And he got to the finish line. He couldn't get it under the finish line.
It was too
Big
tall.
Ben was too tall.
Oh.
And then he went for a celebratory drink and someone nicked Big Ben. Went missing.
It's an ideal opportunity for a barman to come up and say, "Time, gentlemen, please." Ideal opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, this is very exciting for me because I don't often have an opportunity to be a pedant, but Big Ben is the bell and it's Elizabeth's tower. It was on a citizenship test, so...
Then I'll have to be deported then.
Yeah.
It was 30-year-old Lucas Bates' elaborate costume. Let's have a look.
Like looking at his watch.
Yeah.
Big Ben behind you.
Why have Carlsberg admitted that they don't make the best beer? Well, according to The Independent, falling sales and bad customer feedback have led the Danish brewer to rebrand the beer with the new tagline, "Probably not the best beer in the world, so we changed it." So they've admitted to taking the piss and putting it in a can and selling it. Legendary lover Casanova. Researchers recently revealed that they'd been unable to find evidence of the gonorrhea Casanova claimed to have, suggesting that he had exaggerated the condition to help cement his claim of bedding so many women.
That's quite desperate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a great chat-up line, is it? I've got gonorrhea because I've been with so many women.
I'm such a great lover.
Yeah.
I've got gonorrhea, how about it?
What has Sajid Javid been accused of exaggerating?
His height. His weight. His shoe size.
Javid has upset people by describing Stapleton Road, the street he grew up on Bristol, as Britain's most dangerous street. I thought that was in Midsummer. What has Begbie the British Bulldog been dramatically exaggerating?
Is he a candidate for UKIP? Have they found some embarrassing tweets that he's been pushing out late at night?
Begbie loves a long walk, so when he realizes he'll be taken home soon, he fakes his own death. Here's Begbie in a good mood. And here he is when he thinks his walk is coming to an end.
Wow.
They're all prone to exaggeration, apart from Carlsberg, which has now admitted it's not the best lager in the world. Carlsberg created their extra strong beer special brew in honor of Winston Churchill. And after a couple of cans, he was ready to fight anyone. On the beaches, in the car park, wherever you like me. Casanova, born in 1725, claimed to have slept with 122 women, making him the most prolific lover of the 18th century, a title which Mick Jagger then took over for the 19th, 20th, and 21st century. Sajid Javid grew up on Stapleton Road, which has been described as a lawless hellhole full of drug dealers and prostitution. Mr. Javid then escaped to work as a banker in the city, a lawless hellhole full of drug dealers and prostitution. Ian and Cariad, Leeds United, the National Living Statue champions, Bob Dylan, and a policeman from Coventry.
They're footballers. Is that our entire police force? Give us a clue.
Yes.
We do know it, obviously, but we're
Obviously.
just struggling a bit.
It's about people standing still.
Ah,
Standing still. Oh, Bob stands still. That's the thing that he does when he's annoyed.
Really?
Yes, the silver people stand still.
do the Leeds footballers have a goal celebration in which they freeze?
No, they stood still to let Aston Villa score.
Why? Why?
As an act of sportsmanship, which for Leeds United, that's a
extraordinary.
first.
Is it the Coventry policeman is moving around a lot? Or, yes, he's moving around more than he should be.
Dancing,
He's doing a bit of
doing a
dancing.
bit
He
of-
should be just doing traffic duty or something.
Almost. They've all been praised for standing still, apart from a police officer from Coventry who's been criticized for jumping up and down. Why would he be jumping up and down?
He's
Trying to get out of
happy.
Coventry.
He's excited.
It was the trampoline. They were on a drugs raid or something, and
Well, it sounds like it.
he was filmed, bouncing up and down. There's no actual visual evidence of a trampoline, so maybe he's just got very springy legs. But I think he's been disciplined.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A kangaroo court?
Let's have a look.
See, there's no trampoline in that shot.
Oh, he didn't get back up after that, did he? He could be jumping on the belly of a suspect.
Why has football team Leeds United been praised for standing still?
Oh, I know this one because
Yes. Ian, I think it's Aston Villa, isn't it?
it's quite an interesting act of
Yeah,
sports.
yeah.
They allowed their opponents, Aston Villa, to kick off and score a goal uncontested, a tactic Scottish football fans are familiar with. One Leeds United player did try to stop Aston Villa scoring, Pontus Jansson. He's a cult figure there. Have you heard the song about him?
No.
It goes, Pontus Jansson's magic, he wears a magic hat, and if you throw a brick at him, he'll head the fucker back.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Here are the living statue champions. This is live footage, it's a video.
That's impressive.
Did the runner-up come as a tree?
Why did Bob Dylan stand still this week?
He does get grumpy these days. I mean, he was always grumpy, but he's got more grumpy.
Well, the singer stopped a concert this week to scold fans for continuously taking pictures and ended up having to hold a pose to make his point. Well, as part of his rant, he said, "We can either play or pose, okay?" Unfortunately, none of the above was not an option. After admonishing the public, Bob Dylan stepped backwards and found himself tripped up by a tiny speaker. Now he knows how Theresa May feels. Time now for the missing words round. And we start with man with shed on head, what?
Changes his gender and calls himself Ruth.
Is it?
Seek similar.
The answer is man with shed on head spotted in Bristol. Here he is.
Oh, I know who that is. That's David Cameron.
He was stopped by the police who wanted to have a word with him, but he pretended not to be in. Next. Burglar what after being mistaken for a pigeon?
Adopted by Chris Packham.
Pan-fried and stuffed with couscous.
Burglar stuck up chimney for several hours after being mistaken for a pigeon. Next. Man from Lancashire spends all day counting baked beans and...
And losing count.
often.
Yeah, and forgetting the number. Man from Lancashire spends all day counting baked beans and he don't register on his Fitbit.
Spends all day counting baked beans, and that's his job, and he gets paid for it, and he's fine.
In a way,
Oh, okay.
This is very surprising. Man from Lancashire spends all day counting baked beans and becomes an internet star. This is John Stitch from Blackburn, whose analysis of tins of beans has turned him into an internet sensation. Let's have a look at one of his posts.
Whoa!
So these are mixed beans, and he's separating them to see exactly how many of each you get.
Yeah, I don't...
So this has become an internet sensation.
On one occasion, John fainted after losing count of his beans. Luckily, though, his wife was on hand to check his pulse for him.
The only bit I don't believe about this story is the words his wife. Who would marry a fuckwit like that?
Oh, he's a real man, and he's going to be watching this as big moment.
He'll be too busy counting beans.
He's counting beans in Lancashire because he can't come down to London to see Paul Merton in the flesh, and he's thinking, wow, my story is going to be on Have I Got News for You. I can't wait to hear what fuckwit.
His wife's already saying the word behind his back.
Why is he counting the beans? Sorry, I missed this bit.
Because people like it, and then
Ian,
people...
don't get
no,
involved.
why
Don't
is
get
it-
involved, Ian. Oh, no. He's involved.
He's involved now.
He's involved now.
This will be in private eye next month.
Next, what night in Barnsley ruined by what?
Being in Barnsley.
Hen night in Barnsley ruined by...
Fox.
Bingo night in Barnsley, ruined by a ghost.
Of course!
This is a bingo hall in Barnsley, which is being haunted by a ghost. Shall we have a look?
Yeah.
Yes. Sounds like they got a burglar in their chimney.
Is that the most boring bit of footage we've ever shown on this show?
Where's the ghost meant to be?
It was
In
just
the
making
toilet,
sound.
by the sounds of it.
So the final scores are Paul and Andy have 4. Ian and Cariad also have 4. And I leave you with news that in Parliament, at a crisis meeting on climate change, one delegate suddenly remembers she's left the patio heater on back at home. On a visit to Toyota's manufacturing plant in Derbyshire, Prince Philip enjoys a test drive. And in Westminster, Gavin Williamson holds a press conference to declare that despite being sacked by the Prime Minister, at least he still has his dignity. Good night.
Everyone's got their theory on H. Don't miss the dramatic extended final episode, Line of Duty, here Sunday at 9. Over on BBC Two now, though, the events leading up to 9/11 unfold further in episode 2 of The Looming Tower. Here on BBC One, did the Spice Girls used to run naked through hotels? Surely not. Would I lie to you? Next.